Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this latest webinar in the Sun is Life educational series for tanning salon owners and managers, and this is going to be a really good one. We got this thing jam-packed with lots of good information and speakers on this. We're just going to have a real fun time today. So welcome again. Good to have you. We've got another big crowd. You guys are just crazy. You're pumping up our egos. You keep coming back to these. So the name of this one, of course, is Retaining Your Best Customers and Employees Through the Off-Season. So here we are. It's almost June 1, and we are faced with that other season of the year that sometimes I think people don't spend enough time on. And today we're going to give you some real good thoughts about how you can actually make some money in the off-season. So let's just get to it here. And all right, so we're talking about retention, and retention is all about benefits. Here's a quote from some guy you may have heard of. I don't know who this guy is, but anyway, retaining your best tanning customers is directly associated with having a strong list of customer benefits that your best benefited employees know and share every day. So you see the dual message there: benefits for customers, but benefits for employees, because if they don't have them, they're not going to share the customer benefits like you want them to. So welcome to all attendees. Housekeeping notes: you know that the audio transmission is one way, but you can talk to us, and please, we ask you to talk to us by going in the chat box and saying whatever you want. If you say something nasty, well, we might even repeat that too. But say whatever you want, ask whatever you want, ask questions via that chat box. The webinar will last about 60 minutes, and that's probably a big fat lie because we've got so much to go over. It's going to be tough to get it in 60 minutes, but you guys have been fantastic in the past. We've gone 15, 20 minutes over, and you stayed on, and which shows that you must be awfully bored and have nothing else to do. I don't know. But anyway, we thank you for your patience with that. There will be a brief Q&A at the end. And, you know, if you've got some questions during, I'm going to have our tech wizard, David, will be watching that. Maybe there'll be some compelling questions we'll answer before the end. And, of course, if you need to reconnect, you know you've got the webinar invite number. And the recording will be available. I'm going to guess, David, we're going to have it available by Monday, if that's a good estimation. And he's okay. So, well, let's say it'll be up there by Monday. Okay, let's talk about why this series is even possible, because it's brought to you by IST Magazine, arguably the best trade magazine in our industry. I love it. I love the pictures, the stories. Just seems like they really are going after this constituency that's on this call right now to help them in every which way they can. The articles are terrific. Of course, I'm a little prejudiced because I'm one of the writers. But anyway, the Sun is Life program is brought to you by IST Magazine for training and certification. And this is not just certifications. Although they have a great certification program, they have a terrific training program. And our webinars are under the auspices of the Sun is Life program. And let's talk a little bit about old Sun is Life. Sun is Life training modules. You need certification for current and new employees. They've got it, of course. You go to, and here's their Facebook. So we'd like to have you go to that Facebook, and I'm going to shamelessly ask for your help on that. Besides certification, look for a training module called Be a Director. And what is that? Well, it's a compendium. And I know, Tony, you're on the call, and I'm going to introduce Tony's picture here in a minute. I love compendium. It's a good 50-cent word. But anyway, it's a summary of every webinar we've done so far, including the subjects of recruiting, interviewing, and in essence, developing your dream team. You're really going to like this module. And speaking of likes, we should have a little on the Sun's Life Facebook there's the Facebook address there, if you would. Remember that these webinars do not cost you anything. It doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of work that goes into them, and if you like them, great. If you want to give us some likes and you want to give us some comments about the webinar series, we would love to hear them. And here's a comment that we got just recently, about a week ago, and this was a lady speaking. She said, "I just wish our company had a complete and consistent set of training webinars as we're seeing every month from John and Tony. They are very informative and very useful for teaching our managers how to run their business, to run their salons. But she went on to say, but please don't use my last name or the chain I work for because I don't want to be criticized by company senior management for these comments. And we'll just say her name was Kelly, and that's not Kelly, but she was a district manager for a large tanning chain. And so that was kind of a cool comment to hear. All right, so let's move on here. Yes, that was shameless self-promotion. It certainly was. Talk about shameless self-promotion. Has some questions about, well, John, you know, what did you do at CBS? Because we keep hearing you talking about working for CBS Sony and in my marketing career, and you can see there Joan Rivers. We actually did have a few albums. We worked with her. Next to her is Steve Perry, a classic rock voice from the 70s and 80s. Pretty nice guy to work with. Next to him, the little guy standing next to me is Willie Nelson, who turned a golf cart over on both of us, which proves that you shouldn't mix golf and tequila. Lower left-hand corner was Mr. Germaphobe himself, Howie Mandel, fantastic guy, good businessman, besides being very funny to be around. And next to him is the devil went down to Georgia there, Mr. Daniels, a real prince of a guy. And then next to him, I worked with a very talented and unfortunately tragic Whitney Houston, and just a horrible way that ended up. And in the far right corner is the redhead herself, a wonderful, funny lady, very talented, and that's Reba. And she was a lot of fun to work with. And, of course, through my career, I had the opportunity to be Director of Marketing and Operations for 4.5 years for Target. Moved on to Comtron, the world's largest distributor of video movies, which got me eventually into tanning. And, of course, you know some of the rest of the stuff about academically and all that stuff. Also on the call today is David Farr, our Chief Tech Wizard. David has been quite busy, and I think he's starting to catch up from folks wanting email setups and website design. David, I will ask you, are you starting to catch up? Can you take on more people that are interested in you helping them?
Well, there's always room for more fun, so yeah, definitely. One quick thing, though, in the email address, it's supposed to be marketmetan.com.
Oh,
Dave at
damn
marketmetan.
I did that again, marker me. Oh, you know, jeez, David, you got to go out and find a different father. You really do. What is, you know, I'm going to make, here, let me make a big crayon so I can match my intelligence and write that down right now. Gosh, marker. Okay.
Maybe I could just register that as well, so that way it would also work.
marker me Tim. Okay, well, you have my promise, sir. I will take care of that. Oh,
so it's Dave at marketmetan.com.
Moving on. At least I didn't mess up his name, and this is the boss of Sun is Life. Tony Brown, our director. This guy is doing stuff for the Sun is Life program that is going to absolutely blow people away. I'm under promise of near death to not discuss it at all, so it's up to Tony. He's going to be making some announcements. That is really cool, a very comprehensive education program for our industry. And as you can see, he's happy. You can see that smile on his face. I don't know if he's smiling because the program is coming together so well, or some of those half-naked women on the wall behind him. So I guess either one could do it. Anyway, here is this strange gentleman who is also on the call today. We'll just call him Mr. Hollywood. I love that picture, that the glasses there and everything. Believe it or not, he is not. I know you probably think he's a movie star. You're probably thinking, gee, that's not Matthew McConaughey, is it? No, that's not. Not Tom. No, it's not Tom Cruise. Who is that? Well, that is Alex Fredrickson, the owner of Tropicana in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Nashville Metro. And there is his email address up there. And Alex has been a client of mine for, I think, about a year and a half. I can't remember. But it's been a very good partnership, and I mean that we work very well together. He's a single salon in a major metro market, and that's why I wanted him. A lot of reasons I wanted him on the call today. Alex, can you hear me, and can we hear you?
Yes, I can hear you, and I'm here.
Okay, and you are that same gentleman that's in this picture, Mr. Hollywood here.
Yes, and I still own that same pair of sunglasses.
Well, okay. Well, they should probably go down in the Tanning Salon Hall of Fame because Those are pretty sharp. Anyway, he has huge competition. I wanted you guys to hear what he has to say today. He has a little chain you may have heard about called Suntan City. He has 22 outlets. Actually, I think I'm wrong on that. You said, Alex, it's 20 outlets?
Yeah, I believe there's 20, yeah.
20. And he's got another small chain there with 8 or 9, so he's got one Suntan City that is like right across the street from him. So this is no free walk in the park for him. Alex, you have 14 pieces of tanning equipment. What kind of equipment have you got that you can share with everybody?
Well, I have 6 levels of tanning. Our first level, I have 3 20-minute beds. My second level is 3 20-minute beds with face tanners. The level 3 is going to be 3 of your smaller 12-minute beds with face tanners. The level 4, I have 2 of those. There's a 9-minute stand-up, and there's also your larger 12-minute bed with the 48 lamps in it. And for my level 5, I have a Sun Capsule 250 Max, which is a 7-minute stand-up.
Is that the new one?
No, that's the. I've had that for a few years, but it's the best one that they make.
Okay.
And my level 6, I have a Ergoline 1050 high pressure bed, and then I also have the KBL 6800, which has
another good bed.
Yeah, it's got the aromatherapy misting system, voice commands, air conditioning, and then
brushes your teeth, which does everything.
Which is a 10-minute bed, and then I also have the Versa Spa Sunless.
Cool. It's a good lineup you've got. But, even having a good lineup, now you've been in business since 2006, but even having a good lineup, your best year was 2009, and as it says here on the screen, and Alex has been brave enough to share this with everybody, so Alex, I thank you, and I think everybody else on this call would thank you for being open about this. Declining revenues all the way through 2012. Now, the reason that we got Alex on here is that we've got a big turnaround this year, and I'm calling it, of course, the Tropicana case study, and we're going to get to that in a minute, and Alex will be kind of our color commentator as we go through. I'll be asking him things, deferring to him, and he'll be piping in and interrupting me as he should at times. So that's why we wanted him on the call. So, retaining your best customers and employees through the off-season. This is what the subject is today. And let's talk, first of all, why do customers stay with your salon in the off-season? Well, a lot of reasons. Is it location? I don't know. When the demand is low, I'm not sure location is really super important. Now, cleanliness, people will talk about cleanliness all the time, but frankly, cleanliness in our business is really only a way that you lose. I don't think you really win a lot, because consumers' expectations are today that those beds will be clean and that salon will be clean. They're spoiled, and I guess we've done the right thing. We spoiled them. So they assume it's going to be clean. So it's not necessarily a reason they're going to come to you in the off season. If you're the only game in town, God bless you, that's wonderful. Better equipment? Well, in the hot summer months, it is nice to have better equipment. You got 10 million pounds of air conditioning coming through, and your customer knows that, because, of course, that's one of the perceptions that keeps people away from the tanning salons. When it's August in Nashville and it's 172 degrees, people don't particularly want to get into a tanning bed because they think they're going to be that much hotter. Continued desire to look good, of course, we have to trade on that. We assume that is it cheap price? The problem is when the demand curve goes down, cheap price isn't going to mean a whole heck of a lot. Or are we talking about that they stay with you in the off season because they recognize the extra value they get for retaining their membership? So today's conversation is truly going to be wrapped around EFTs, EFT-type memberships. Yes, we wouldn't mind if people kept coming back in and buying 30-day unlimited packages or individual tanning sessions or 10-session packs, but EFTs is where the bread is buttered. So we'd like to think they're going to come back to us because of the extra value, and that's what we've got to present to them. And also, to do that presentation, it's got to be the relationship with your employees. So we've got to have all of the above there to get them back into the store. Okay, so let's talk To retain the best employees, you need to think who they are and why do you think they're the best. Now, we've talked a little bit about, in the past, about a number of these things, and I'm going to go through them quick. But this, of course, is a key. Right now is the time to do it, folks. If you've got some employees and you're wondering, well, which ones am I going to keep and which ones am I going to have to put on furlough because I can't keep them all on the payroll, well, who are the best? And it shouldn't just be who we seem to be the most comfortable with, but let's take a look at their numbers since January 1st and who are the best. Who's rocking your PTA? PTA, EFT close ratio. If you know, last time, as you know, we talked about how many EFTs are you selling versus the number of transactions that those sales associates conduct, and that's an even playing field. You know, you can't say, well, we don't sell a lot of EFTs in the month of June or in the month of July or whatever, but still, if you do it as a ratio to transactions, and I'm going to show you a little later on here a graph of an actual store and show you what we're talking about with close ratio. But anyway, who's rocking your PTA, your EFT close ratio? Who's selling more EFTs than anybody else? And of course, LPPA, really important. Who's best? And here is maybe the crux of this webinar today. Who's best at converting cancellation requests? Right now, you're all facing it probably. I know Alex and I have been talking about this for a couple days. I've been talking to other clients about it too. Talked to a client yesterday that has 19 stores, and what does he do to convert cancellation requests? Because those people are coming in right now saying, well, it's hot out here, I don't think I need to have a membership anymore, and that's a key subject. Do we keep some of the best employees just for your comfort? I hope not, because really we need people that kind of in some ways are assertive and mavericks and not necessarily wallflowers. So remember, our industry tends to hire too fast and fire too slow. We tend to hire people, I guess, because we have a gut feeling in a 15 or 20-minute interview, and then when they don't work out, it seems like we take too long to get rid of them. And Alex, I think we could honestly say that in your staff and what you've went through, maybe there was a couple people that we were too slow to fire.
Yes, definitely.
Well, we're going to get to that. Alex and I are going to tell you everything that we went through to get this baby turned around. Okay, so now is the time. You can only have so many people on the payroll. And I've talked about reviews in the past, and I'm not going to go over all the wonderment of reviews, but to keep the best employees, you need to have an objective look at these people. So we're talking about sales. Right above, you see who's rocking your PTA, your EFT, LPPA. Okay, that's great. Looking at the sales, that's terrific. Now you need to do an objective review on everyone. And some of you on here are saying, oh, I don't have time, John, for 4-page reviews. Or I don't want you to have to do that. But I do want you to do a review, and it's a quickie review, and I'll show you that. And why should you not do a review? Look at it from this point of view. If you have 5 clerks that are working, say, 20-plus hours a week, it's roughly $1,000 in payroll a week. That's $50,000 in payroll, and it's probably more than that because you get into the peak months and you're spending more than that. But imagine there is no tanning bed that you can buy that's going to cost $50,000. So your tanning, you look at your tanning equipment and you review what's going on with that. You're looking at the bulbs, you're looking at the usage meters on it, and that's what you should be doing. But employees are an expensive asset as well, and they should be reviewed. So let's give you something to do it with. If you go to my website, the Tech Wizard should have just put this on today. It should be part of the package, and we're going to continue to upgrade the package. You can get stuff off of there. But here it is, the Salon Employee Quick Appraisal Guide. So all this is, guys, is there's 10 attributes down the left side, and you can see what they're listed there. Positive personality, are they friendly, natural warmth, integrity, can you trust what they tell you, reliable, responsible, good interpersonal skills, good salon lotions and service knowledge, and there's 10 of these. Notice you take the first column and you put the name in there of what you think is your star employee, and that's where you start. And you have to do that because what people tend to do when they do these quick appraisals is because they want to avoid confrontation. They give everybody a 5, a highest, or a 4, or whatever. Well, don't do that because you're just kidding yourself. Take your star employee, and let's say that they have a super positive personality, and you give them a 5. And then your next, geez, we got a name 3. I guess we skipped name 2. But anyway, you fill in the names on the top there, and you compare them against your star employee. Because eventually you're going to find out, if you do this objectively, you're going to find out that you have maybe an employee that is better than anybody else on these attributes, but you're going to ask some folks that aren't as good. And here's some of the other attributes. Good judgment. Are they flexible, trainable? Can they take redirection, or do they get crazy when they get criticized? Do they show initiative? Wouldn't that be nice? Are they productive? Do they stay busy, or are they looking at their Facebook in between tanners? Do they display some work pride in terms of their appearance and personal grooming? There's nothing I hate more than walking into a salon on secret shopper visits I do, or I go into a new client and review their salons and see someone at the front counter that's got tattoos everywhere imaginable and enough body piercings that you can pick up a good FM signal. It just really turns me off. So anyway, this objective form you can get right off of the website, www.johnrfarr.com, and use it. Use it. It works. It'll help you when you combine it with the numbers. It'll help you determine who really are the people that you're trying to keep. Now, okay, so let's talk a little bit more here about the cost, and I'm going to show you about the where the devil are we here? Okay, come on, you. Okay, so let's talk about the loss of cost. This is the cost of losing a key employee. All right, the cost of losing key employees. You know, over the summer, sometimes somebody is thinking they want to do something else, and if you can hold on to them, of course the cost is you're losing customer confidence, and maybe that customer's bond to your salon, a decrease of the selling culture. And Alex, boy, we're going to be talking about selling culture today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, because you've seen a dramatic difference in your selling culture at Tropicana.
Yes, definitely. It's gone from lackadaisical to where people are actually excited about it now.
Well, and you know, how can you argue? The numbers are there, and I mean it's just amazing what's happening. Lower morale, of course. If you've got a star that leaves, these people may admire that star. And then, you know, the big thing when you lose key employees is people like Alex and the rest of you. You spend a lot of time recruiting, interviewing, hiring, training, retraining, trying to discover who the real person is you've hired to replace your lost workers. So, and here's an example. Charlie Russell, owner of Solar 51 in Jackson, in March of 2011, and there was 2 weak, dishonest employees in one salon that cost him more than 35% of that salon's volume for a 6-week period. I mean, they trashed that salon so bad, and unfortunately, he was doing some traveling and got preoccupied and didn't get a chance to really watch what he should have been watching, and he'll be the first to admit it that he should have. But so, you know, weak folks can really trash a salon, and it doesn't take long for them to do that at all. So, and again, now if you have questions and that sort of thing coming up here, just go ahead, because we're talking about how to keep good employees. And by the way, just as kind of a public service announcement, if you're talking about good employees, I've got a person here who has applied, and we have a resume, and if anybody would like to hire her, she's got quite the credentials in the tanning industry. Alex, are you interested? I mean, you see that she has quite a natural... And if you don't want her, by the way, her mother is available too. So, okay, moving away from that, John. That's pretty sick. All right. So, incentives for retaining your best employees. How do we keep them around? Of course, we talked about using percent increase from prior months for PTA and LPPA results. The use of percentage change levels, playing field. We've talked about incentives for EFT sales and graduating lotion commissions. How about incentives for converting cancellations? Really? Yeah. Brian Hibbert, South Beach Tanning, he has 19 salons, and he gives $1 to anybody that converts a cancellation back into like a freeze or pause mode. Now, I asked him, I said, well, $1 is not much of an incentive. And he said, yeah, he said, at least with knowing that they're going to get something, he said, at least I think they read the script to the person. Are you sure that you want to cancel? Because here's what this will cost you. When you come back in, you'll have to pay your enrollment fee again, blah, blah, blah. He's got a script. And so he said it's helped him. In the last couple of years, it's cut down on his cancellations. Now, incentives, the whole idea about incentives and keeping people around. Let's talk about what makes incentives work. So I'll call this the Farr-Vroom incentive formula. Now, Victor Vroom created what's called the expectancy theory. And if you get a moment, you can Google Victor Vroom, and he is a PhD professor at Yale University, and he came up with a theory of expectancy theory. What it is, it's about how to do incentives. And I will tell you that this always works. Let's talk about these components. IP, meaning increased performance. Now, if you're going to do an incentive with your employees, it has to fall within this formula, one way or another, because if it doesn't satisfy these components, your incentive is not going to work. So, IP is increased performance. If you want to increase the performance, which you obviously do, you've got to do goal setting and resetting. That's the GSR. If you don't set goals, what's the point of doing some kind of an incentive? And I know Alex has gotten particularly good at setting goals. And I think with the new sales culture that we've got there, people are paying attention to the goals. But he also said something, Alex has said something to me that is very important about goal setting. Not just the rewards, Alex, but as you were saying.
Well, the
consequences.
Yeah, the employees got to meet those goals, and if they don't, there's got to be some type of consequence. And if there's not, then they'll just continue to, oh, I guess I didn't make it this month. Oh, I guess I didn't make it this month either. And then you just get that philosophy going.
Well, and you know yourself.
There's actually got to be some type of consequence for not reaching those goals consistently.
And Alex, you know yourself that because there wasn't for a long time inside of Tropicana, nobody was paying much attention to those goals. And
that's correct.
And now it's not like you're walking around, you and your wife Michelle are not walking around with a pitchfork behind someone's back. But one of the things that Alex had to do, by the way, is there was an employee there, and there's no sense in saying what her name was, but her attitude was more laissez-faire than anybody else. As a matter of fact, she made the statement the only reason that the biggest reason she liked the job working at Tropicana is it's a place she could go and hang out. It was downtime for her. Well, you know, her attitude was such that, and her achievement on her goals was such that it led to her being fired. And that consequence is sometimes a surgical termination, I call it, will get everybody's attention. And it really helped. Now, there's many other things we did. Were positive things that we did that helped that selling culture. But you're right. You got to set goals, and people have to know that their feet, to some extent, have to be held to the fire. And then you got to reset the goals too, because as you go through seasonal swings, you can't have the same goal every month because you're just going to have things change. You can't have the same goal in February that you would have in October because, you know, naturally the business is going to go up. And the other component is goal achievement perception. So, and let me give you an example of that. Let's say that you have an employee that is used to selling 4 EFTs in a month. To give them a goal in the next month, assuming it's similar months in a similar season, to give them a goal of 20 EFTs would be unreal. Because if the employee, when you set up this incentive, whether it's EFTs, whether it's lotions, whatever it is, if they feel that the goal is not achievable, you've just wasted your time. And what we do with a lot of clients is that we have the store management, and this is particularly with multiple stores, we have the store management get together with the owner or the director or the district manager of the chain once a month toward the end of the month, and they set up the goals volume-wise for the next month, but they have the managers involved in setting those goals, which gives them more buy-off on doing it. And that's something I don't know, Alex, if you've had a chance yet to do that, because it does take a little bit more work in getting people the trends and the history of what the salon has done and what their percentage of the salon is and whatever. But the more that you can show them why the goal is established and that it's real and you didn't just use a dartboard for it, the more meaningful it will be. And speaking of meaningful, if the rewards is not meaningful, people are not going to go after it. So, and then the last thing is, of course, management, coaching, counseling, and training. You got to help people to get to these goals. Let me talk about meaningful rewards just for a second, because you look at this formula. If you want to increase performance, you got to be doing some goal setting. You got to make sure those goals are perceived to be achievable. You got to have meaningful rewards, and then you got to help them. Coaching, counseling, training, whether it's you or it's one of their peers that's really good at selling lotions or EFTs. But here's the thing, and this is really important, folks, really important. Meaningful rewards. I talked to a retailer the other day who is basically his salon is kind of on life support. His salons, he's got 2 of them, they're on life support. And we're talking about incentives to look at this formula that we're talking about here. And he's telling me that his best salesperson left, excuse me, we have a golden retriever here that is talking to a squirrel. Just 1 second, folks. Just 1 second. Okay, come on. That's very good. Very good. Go out here and talk to the squirrel. Come on. Come on. Go out there. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Don't you just love that? I was waiting for the second one to start barking, too. Okay, but meaningful rewards. This retailer is telling me that last month his best salesperson got an incentive check for lotion sales of $48. Now, that's just not pushing anybody, and it's because he's paying 3%. Now, there was a time, 10 years ago when you could pay ridiculously low percentages on lotions and other things because we just naturally had so many people coming in that if our salespeople were not motivated, it wasn't a giant problem. You can't do that today. So, when you go to the replay of this webinar, make sure you look at that incentive formula, because any incentive you set up, if it does not fulfill those pieces in there, it's not going to work. All right, so let's talk about what the cost is of losing one of your stars, and I'm going to show you a case study here. And I'm going to ask you to consider what we call a retention bonus. What is it worth to keep an excellent employee? This is an actual salon. The name has been changed to protect this person, but the Melissa case study, I call it, and consider the math here. July through December of 2011, she handled 2,000 plus total tans. She left the job, she left the salon. Her replacement in 2012 had about the same number of transactions, but was $3.30 per transaction average less than Melissa, or more than $6,000. So we lost a star, and the person that came in just did not have what Melissa had. And this is the shame of it. Melissa left the salon she was working for to get a 75-cent an hour increase at a bakery. Now, if that salon could have kept her, just think of what they could have done in that off season in 2012. That's what the cost is of losing a star. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm going to give you something that some people do. It seems kind of radical, but it's a retention bonus. And how does it work? The employee is offered an incentive to stay through December 15th. Well, why December 15th? Because if they get their bonus on December 16th, they can spend it for Christmas, and that gives them another incentive because they know they're going to get the money then. She understands, or this person understands, the deal is confidential. All comp deals, whatever the wages are, should be confidential, and that bonus can be lost if it's revealed to other staff members. Now, you're not going to offer this to everybody. If you've got a star, somebody that stands out, and you're afraid that you might lose them in the off season, because it happens on occasion, you might consider this. The bonus assumes that all other aspects of normal superior performance are maintained, or the bonus is not paid. Now, bonus to be paid on December 16th is $500, or about 25 cents per transaction in the case where we're talking about Melissa. It would have cost 25 cents per transaction. And for 25 cents per transaction, I would have paid that if that would have kept that lady on with us. Because, and Alex, in your case, you've got a star that works for you right now. I guess I won't mention the name because we don't want to be too paranoid here, but we don't want somebody calling your store and trying to hire her away. But Alex has a star there, and I would strongly recommend that he considers, doing something like that with her, because she is just a selling killer. Okay, let's talk about the Tropicana case study. Are you ready, Alex?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, we'll have a drum roll here. Okay, the salon is truly one of the nicest in the Nashville metro. It's really a beautiful salon. It is so much classier than the big chain competition that he's got. He's been operating, Alex is an operating veteran for about 7 years. He faces heavy competition who has large media budgets for TV and radio. They are on TV and radio. I think they're on radio just about every month, aren't they, Alex?
They're on there about every 4 or 5 minutes, actually.
Well, when you've got 20 salons, you've got a big budget for marketing, and I'll tell people if you're in a market where you can afford radio, radio can be extremely effective if you know what you're doing, and that's I've been a little plug here. I've been buying radio media for 43 years, so I know what it can do. Tropicana's ad media are Alex uses email, website traffic, obviously, some print. By the way, print. What did you tell me that Alex, you're just getting ready to do with print?
Yeah, actually, I had quit doing print for a few years because it wasn't really paying for itself. You know, some of the ads were like, in some of the coupon magazines were like $400, $450. And recently I've just started advertising in the local paper because those ads also used to be very expensive. And I just actually bought one this morning that's going to come out in 4 different newspapers, and it's 2x3, and it's only $69 for all 4 newspapers. And
Wow.
It's going to be on their website for 2 weeks for only $69. So if you've stopped doing print like I did because it was too expensive, you may want to reevaluate that because it looks like the price has come down quite a bit.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. You do have to be selective about it because, I mean, let's be honest, demographically, most tanners, if you're looking at the meat of tanning spending, it's a female 25 to 45, and she's Googling everything, and she's on her cell phone, and she's probably not reading a whole lot of newspapers. But then on the other hand, with the economy being what it is, she may also be a bargain hunter, and sometimes they turn to print. And it's just a matter of tracking what you get with it. But you know, at that price, I'm not sure, Alex, how you go wrong. So
yeah. Plus, it's a local newspaper too. That's
around your salon.
Around my salon. So it's a small paper that comes out once a week. It's not like it's going to get buried in the big metro paper.
And chances are, Suntan City is not going to be in that paper.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's a good thing too. Well, anyway, sales have been in a steady decline since 2009. 2009 was a really good year, but yet 2010, 11, and 12, the sales were declining. And I think, Alex, you and I started working together, was it the beginning of 2012?
It was the end of 2011, I believe,
Okay.
September.
Okay, and this was not an easy turnaround, and I think one of the biggest I felt for a long time was that selling culture, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But anyway, so let's talk about the Tropicana case study and the 2013 turnaround. Well, January and February 2013, we were still behind last year, but March started what I call the churn of change. It started churning, and there was reasons for that. Now, back in December, we did a secret shopper. And again, you can go on my website and you get the secret shopper form. You can use it yourself. And one of these webinars coming up, I'm going to try to get into how to effectively use the secret shopper program where you don't have to spend any money for it. You just got to give away a little bit of free tanning to an individual. But we can't get into it today. But we used the secret shopper in December, and Alex in March finally reviewed and revealed to his employees some of the secret shopper results. That combined with in March we brought in in February we brought in an adult, a lady that was 47 or 48 years old and had a lot of experience in the fitness business and whatever. And as it worked out, she didn't stay with us very long because she got a job offer that paid quite a bit more. And I think Alex and I, we both knew going into this and hiring her that we probably weren't going to hang on to her very long, but we were hoping that she'd stay around because she had such fantastic credentials. Well, anyway, she got in there, and Alex's crew of people, I don't know, Alex, is it fair to say that we had more than our share of kids?
Well, yeah, I mean, what happened was that, like I said, the sales culture was, before that, was fairly lackadaisical. People would never hit the goals. And then she came in and just started selling like crazy and making everybody look bad.
Yeah.
So
and they didn't like it.
Okay, well, no, they didn't like it because all these goals that I'd set forth in the prior months that they never hit, now they actually see that somebody can hit that because they're actually trying, and that changed the sales culture. Like you said, there was one person that was not able to do that, so they were let go, but the other, 3 people that I had working there have seemed to turn it around at this point.
And let's be honest, Alex, in the past, and this is an important point for everybody, because I think I made this point in the last webinar where we talked about the fact that what most people do to get rid of a problem employee is they just schedule them out, or they give them so very few hours they hope that they leave. And as I said in the last webinar, that's kind of the coward's way out. It may seem like it's a clean and neat way to do it, but other employees are watching that, and they're watching a person that's not a good performer, and they're watching you as a leader, as an owner or a manager, not take some effective actions to either turn that performance around or actually make the decision to get rid of them. And I really think sometimes a surgical termination over someone that absolutely refuses to change is one of the best things you can do to change that selling culture. And so what happened, of course, is between the new lady coming in and selling everybody, the secret shopper reports that pointed out to people, maybe they didn't like to see it, but pointed out they weren't doing their jobs. And then
Go ahead,
jump in.
There,
yeah, jump in.
Now, the shopper reports, when you first brought that idea to me, I was kind of hesitant. I was like, well, they're doing, everything they're supposed to be doing. They're just not selling enough. And then once I saw these secret shopper reports, there was a totally different environment when I wasn't there at the store. When I'm there, people were asking if they had their eyewear. They were trying to sell them lotion. They were asking them if they want to upgrade. And then the shopper came in at times of the day when I wasn't there. And the questions on there was, did the person ask if you had eyewear? No. Did the person ask you if you want to upgrade? No. Did the person try and sell you lotion? No. So if, you may think that some of your employees are doing everything the same way when you're not there as when you are, but a lot of times that's not the case.
Well, those are, Alex, thank you. That's fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. I have to tell you that over the last couple of years, I've only had one set of secret shoppers that has come in, shopper reports, that came in that were truly positive. And it just happened in a new client out west. And the new client owner and I are debating whether or not the secret shopper was really clear on what to do, because we're a little bit hesitant to believe the calibration of the numbers. It seems like they may have had an angel's view on everybody. But I have to tell you, everybody else we've done, I mean, big chains, little chains, single stores, big stores, I mean, the shopper reports for the last 2 years have been terrible, and particularly when I call in the middle of the report with the stuff that you were talking about, Alex, about upgrading, or talking about what their canning plans are, or say, are you getting dark enough? Why don't you try this better? I mean, no one's trying to collaborate with the customer to get them to enjoy a higher experience. It just wasn't. We had, I think, Alex, on yours, I think we had 20 or 18 reports. I don't remember what it was. And I don't think, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think we had one report where they even asked if they had eyewear.
Yeah, I don't recall. There may have been one or two.
There may have been, if it was one or two, that was about it. So, but anyway, so things are changing now. The selling, it started to churn in March, and bang, April was Alex's second biggest month in his salon's history, and he's been open since 2006. Second biggest month. And then May, right now, he's 35% ahead of May 2012. And see, you know, what our business is about, what any business is about, but particularly ours, I think in the tanning industry, guys and gals, it's about momentum. Once you get the momentum going, you get the steamroller going in the right direction, where you've got the right selling culture, you've got the right people that are in there, they've got the right attitude, and they know what's expected of them, and you're setting goals, and they're being rewarded for hitting those goals, or they're being retrained or worked with when they don't, or eventually, ultimately, the consequences that we give them a new career somewhere outside of the salon. But if you do that, this stuff, I mean, I've seen these kind of turnarounds happen so many times I can't begin to tell you, and it's really not that difficult to do. The catalyst, of course, was the hiring of that employee who stirred up the staff and the sharing of the secret shopper reports. Dramatic change in employee awareness of their job responsibility and the ramp up of the selling culture. Then we got a first-round draft pick. We got a gal from the competitor that's the new manager, and she is an absolute sales killer. This gal can sell, as they say, ice cubes to Eskimos. Okay, Tropicana case study, other reasons for the turnaround. And I gotta jump in here, Alex. Hope I don't make you feel uncomfortable, but I have to say that I think a big part of the turnaround was your active awareness and involvement by yourself and your wife. I think there was a while there where you were in such a mode of declining business and almost in a defeat mode that you were kind of accepting, or maybe you didn't even realize what you were looking at was mediocrity. And now it's all different. I mean, I hear it in your voice. I hear it in what you're planning to do. You just got through buying another new beautiful bed. You've really invested time and resources in your business, and boy, that makes a big difference. You get owners back involved, particularly if you've got a salon that's going down. It's time to turn your own attitude around. Groupon pumped up our new customer visits and sales. Alex, jump in here and share with people about what happened with Groupon.
Well, I first started doing Groupon at the end of 2011. And
when did we do the first one? Was that November or December?
Yeah, I believe it was October of.
Oh, October. Okay.
Yeah, of 2011. And basically, what it's done is it's brought in about 450 new clients to my business that had never been in there before. Now, there's good things about Groupon, and then there's other things that, you have to be careful of. One of the mistakes I made was on the Groupon was having it where the person could buy one and then buy one for a friend, and what was happening was people were buying two and using both of them. So we ended that policy, so now the person's only able to buy one. But the thing that it does is it brings people in, and I know you have to put a massive discount on that, but basically it's not only is it free advertising, you're actually getting paid for it.
Well, and I think one of the things too that you have to say is that there's a lot of controversy about Groupon. Is it good? Is it bad? Groupon is definitely a sword that cuts both ways. If you rely strictly on the Groupon traffic that comes in, or excuse me, let me restate that. If you rely on strictly the check you get from Groupon, you're losing the biggest part of the potential. The obvious idea is to get traffic in the door and to upsell them. If you're not upselling, and I'll give you, Alex, I gotta jump in here and throw an example. There was a retailer of mine that I used to work with up north. We had two salons, and on a Groupon, one Groupon package in a smaller market, he brought in 175 Groupon actually came in and redeemed their certificate. Well, his total upsell off of those Groupon, we looked at I believe it was a 4 or 5 month history on it. His total upsell was $340. So I mean, it was a grand total of $2 for each Groupon customer that came in. Now, if that's what you're going to do, and his problem is really a selling culture. The people he's got there are just, I'm sorry, I hate to use the word morons, but they really are. And so if that's what you're going to do, then don't do a Groupon. I mean, if you don't have confidence that your staff can't do some upselling, then I wouldn't do a Groupon. But as it worked out, it worked here. And the other thing, too, Alex, is that one of the things that concerns we had about Groupon for a while is that customers were saying, well, I'm not going to buy another package. I'll just wait for the next Groupon.
Yeah, and that's because we were doing them too close together. We were doing them every 3 months. That was one of the problems.
Well, tell them about the whole move to Groupon Lite.
Well, Groupon Lite is now, instead of doing what they used
daily
to do,
deals?
they used to do they used to do the daily deal, and your offer would be up there for 4 days, and it would be gone, and you would sell 150 or 160 of them in 4 days. But now what they have is Groupon Lite, where your offer is always up there every day, but the person can only buy it once. So the person can no longer just wait for the next Groupon to come out because there's not going to be another one because they've already bought that one once.
Yeah, and that was a problem. That was a problem that we found that a lot of people in the tanning industry were having, is that we did them too often, and we all learned that we had to get off of that. Moving on here, EFT sales for Tropicana are up dramatically. And I think that kind of goes back to Groupon, where we were getting a lot more traffic. I mean, Tropicana is one of the few salons out there that has actually increased their total tans. I mean, that's been one of the problems that we've had in this business, is total tans has been down, so that puts so much more pressure on your per tan average having to be put up. But I think because our traffic is up and because the selling culture has changed, tell them how, your increase in EFT sales. Give them a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, actually in April and this month in May, I've sold 3 times more EFTs than I did last year in April and May.
Well, I keep
and that's
coming
got
back.
to do with the selling culture.
It does. I mean, the people there, what you've got there now, they give a damn. I mean, the new manager you have is the example for the rest of them. I mean, she's a great salesperson. And then there's a guy that works for Alex in one of the sales associates that I frankly 4 months ago I told Alex, I said, we got to fire his butt out of there because he's got an attitude of an iguana. He's got to go. And yet now he's being one of the top EFT salespeople, isn't he?
Yeah, he sold like 30 EFTs last month. And he
it can change. Get that culture change. Now, and here's an interesting point. And Alex, and you'll tell him this. I'm going to say, was it a year?
It was last year in February.
Yep. Alex says to me, well, what do we do about it? I said, well, maybe we can increase the EFT bonuses. But I had this gut feeling that all we would be doing is throwing gasoline out the window and not into the gas tank, because we just didn't have the people that really gave a crap about it. So he increased the bonuses, but it did absolutely nothing. And it did nothing until the employee culture, selling culture changed. And now it's really cooking. Okay, let's go to Tropicana conclusions. Groupon helped quite a bit, but it has some cautions, and you should know that it needs to be done correctly. And Groupon is going through a lot of changes. It's still the #1 internet coupon aggregator, if you want to call it that. I would still, if you're going to use something like this, I would still advocate it over Living Social or any of the others that are out there. I would get rid of the employees that are pulling down your selling culture. Alex and Michelle are such nice people, and so they would just try to schedule somebody out of the schedule. Well, they fired, I won't say her name, and that sends shockwaves, because I don't think the other employees, Alex, I just don't think they just didn't look at you guys as bosses. And that's what, at the end of the day, people have to know that you are still the boss. They need to know that you're serious about their performance. They need feedback and discussion about performance expectations, and that's what they're getting right now. And, of course, EFT sales are up dramatically. An increase in EFT did nothing. Okay, we've already talked about that. And does your salon need a selling culture change? Okay, customer members retention in the off-season. What we got to do, people, you got to make a benefits list. What extras do you provide for tanning customers to keep them around? Such as Charlie down at Solar 51, he has chilled bottles of water, but he also has cold towels. So when people come in, he hands them a gold platter that has a chilled bottle of water on it and a cold towel that he has in refrigeration units. And it's just this little nice thing that he hands out that they seem to like. Private mini lockers works, of course. Unusual discounts on lotions for members, free tans for friends and family. You don't go overboard with that, but an occasional free spray tans or the duration of a membership. I mean, we could list a whole bunch of stuff here, but the idea is that how do we handle attempts to cancel? And this is really the key, handling the membership cancellation. All employee cancellation transactions should be monitored to determine who is handling cancellations the best. And Alex, I'm going to have you plug in here in just a second here because I want you to talk about what you're doing, because what you're doing is Brian in South Beach is doing, and dozens so other clients are doing, and it works. You divide their cancellations by their total transactions to give you a ratio of their efforts, lowest number is best. And I'm going to show you now a case study. And this is an ABC Tanning. I mean, that's not a real salon, but this is a case study. Here's 4 employees, okay? And here are this was over, I believe this was July and August of 2012. And you see their names on the left side. You see their tans. Those are the transactions they handled. Then you see the cancels that they handled, but you see the conversions that they handled. And then you see a ratio. So let me explain. Amy had 240 tans. She had 12 cancellations. You jump across at 5% of her tan transactions she handled in July and August were cancellations, 5%. And she had 4 conversions. So now you look at the best person there is Derry. She had 350 tans. She had 10 cancels, but her cancel percentage was only 2.8%, and she had 8 conversions. Conversions to what? A freeze or a pause. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So you see, you're looking at the percentage of there. When I'm talking about using these ratios can give you an idea. And what's good about it is then it doesn't depend on how many tans they do. And I have to tell you that I'll whisper this to you. I know that Helios and also Sunlink is coming out with this. This is something I suggested to them, by the way, not trying to break my arm, patting myself on the back here. I suggested this management tool to Sunlink 4 or 5 years ago, something that is down, dirty, and simple. You can look at as a tanning salon owner or manager and say, who is taking care of my business? Who's taking care of my cancellations here that it's July and August? Because, you know, you'll hear things. I'll hear that cancellations and the loss of EFT revenue. I've got one retailer that says he only loses about 10%. I think he's full of mud. But you'll hear him as high as 50% of loss of EFT. EFT is going over the summer. And, man, that's a lot of AC bills you could pay for if you could keep even half of those. So you see what we've got there. It looks to us that dairy is the best at keeping people from canceling. So when you have a meeting with your employees, why not have dairy talk to the rest of them about what she does, her best practices to keep people from canceling? To me, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. Instead of sitting down in an employee meeting and having the owner or manager talk one way to employees and saying, all right, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, here are your goals, now get the hell out of here. Best thing you could do is have the people on your staff that are doing the job share with everybody else at that meeting what they're doing to make it successful. You know, Alex, is this something you'd consider with your people?
Well, actually, I actually just recently started doing it differently than that. I actually, when the person comes in to cancel or freeze,
oh yes. Oh, that's great. Go ahead.
There's a form that they fill out, and since normally the consultant behind the counter has no vested interest in how much your EFTs are every month, the person comes in to cancel, and the employee just hands them the form and goes, "Oh, there you go." So what I've been doing is when my manager comes in the next day, they call that person and say, are you sure you really want to do this? Because instead of canceling it, you could freeze it, and then the manager goes over with that person all the benefits of freezing versus canceling it.
Alex, let me stop you just 1 second, because you're hitting on a very good point. Let me get to the freeze pause options, because yours are a little bit different from what I hear from other people, but it's kind of in the same vein. So just let me do this. Hold on here. Okay, hold on. We got just a second here. Got a duplicate on the slide. Okay, hold on here. All right, freezes or pauses. And I'm going to go through some things, and Alex is going to tell you he does some of these, but he does some things that are different too. So let me just go through this, and then I'm going to shut up and let Alex talk some more. The salon converts on a freeze or pause the canceling tanner to freeze their account. Freeze terms commonly used, a freeze billing to $5. Now, I've seen freeze billing as low as $4. I've seen it in higher metro markets like LA, San Francisco, Boston, as much as $7 or $8 a month. The tanner can still tan, and this is a mistake that some salons make, where they put them on a freeze. They say, okay, you can freeze your account, and we won't charge you another enrollment fee when you want to get back in again, but you can't tan. Well, that's crazy. We want people to come in. So we say, okay, you can't tan unlimited, but every time you come in, if you want to come in, you can still tan, but you got to pay the regular single session price. And some people, it's half price. I think, Alex, for you, it's half price?
Yeah, well, that's one of the 4 incentives that we have for me to freeze it versus canceling it.
Okay.
Is while your account's frozen, all your single visits are half off, so you can come in, you know, Monday or Tuesday and get rid of all those tan lines you got at the pool for $4.
Yeah, and you know, the great thing about that, Alex, is if somebody does that, if they take you up on that, you know, even 5-6 times over the month, plus the $5 you've billed them, you know, you haven't really lost a whole lot of money there. I mean,
and plus the other thing, going to back to the $5, you want to make sure you charge at least something, because when I first started doing freezing, we weren't charging anything, and then everybody was freezing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
People wouldn't come in for like 2 or 3 years, and I just had a big mess that I had to clean up as far as the database was concerned. So you at least want to charge something, even if it's small.
Exactly right, because it continues to put a perceived value on membership to your salon. Otherwise,
right, when they see that $5 hit their account every month, it reminds them, oh, I still have a membership.
I still have a membership. Exactly. And because what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep them and not have them looking, you know, at somebody else at you know, when come regular canning season. And you know, freezing their account keeps them on active status and avoids a new enrollment fee. And I know that you do that. That's one of your things, isn't it? Did you say it'll avoid a new enrollment fee? And then I think you will also say it. Well, okay. Here, let me do this. I'm going to shut up.
What we do is we don't charge an enrollment fee, but what we tell the person, if they freeze it, if we ever decide to start charging an enrollment fee, you wouldn't have to pay that because your account's already current.
And also, go ahead.
Yeah. And then also it locks the person into that rate.
That rate.
Freeze it. So if we decide to raise the price on that particular unit, their price doesn't go up because their account is still active.
Yeah, and the chances are that, given where our industry is, some people do need to raise their prices, some people need to lower their prices, but it's unlikely, let's be honest, Alex, that you would raise your prices for January, but it's not impossible. So, you know, it's giving them a negative they can avoid by just $5 a month. They don't have to worry about, if you do have an enrollment fee, to have to pay that, and they don't have to worry about paying a higher fee for their EFT. It avoids that. Now, this is something, and I don't think, Alex, you do this yet, but this is something that other people do. The monthly freeze charges can be accumulated as salon credits against lotions or tanning packages. So if someone is saying, well, I don't know, you can say, well, look, it's $5 a month. If you freeze for 5 months, that's $25. You can use that $25 toward And you can put all kinds of limits on it. You can say a bottle of lotion that's at least $50, so it doesn't really cost you anything when it's all said and done. Or it's against a tanning package, whatever. You can, but that way it gets the customer to see, you know, this really, in the long run, isn't costing me anything to keep my account active. Alex, thoughts?
Yeah, we actually don't do that because I feel with the amount of benefits that we're offering, the free or the half off single visits, the no increase in the rate, that we don't give that monthly $5 back when they come back and sign up. Because we also have another benefit is we have two types of EFTs. We have one that requires a 1 month minimum commitment, and then there's one that requires a 6 month minimum commitment. If the person's met the 6 months and they freeze their account, the next time they come back in to unfreeze it, they don't have to do the whole 6 months because they've already done that 6 months, so they can unfreeze it for a month or two and then freeze it again. But if that person cancels it and then they come back in 4 months later and buy a new one, then they have to do that 6 months again.
See, and this just, you know, it goes to show you that if you had 12 Alexes in the room, you could come up with 12 creative ways to approach this. But the key in all of this is the way that your employees approach it and that they're scripted to handle this. Because when I've been in salons on the secret shopper thing, and particularly this time of the year, most of the time, and Alex, I'm sure you'd agree with this, and I'll bet you most people on this call would agree, when somebody comes into that clerk, especially if the manager or the owner is not around, and says, I want to cancel my account. Okay, here, just fill out this form, sign this at the bottom. It's pretty much what happens because they're just not, they're not programmed into trying to save that customer. Here's another thing too, by the way. This is a client down in Louisiana with 5 stores. This is another thing that he does. He gives freeze clients a free month of tanning in January. And so he says, if you stay on the freeze, I'll let you tan in January free. Now, this is level 1 tanning, you should know. You're not getting into the high-pressure beds in January for free. But just think about this for a second, because the first time he hit me with this, which is about a year and a half ago, and Alex, you met this guy down we had our meeting down in Smart Tan. I mean, when the first time that Jeff told me about this, I thought he was nuts. But the more I thought about it, it was brilliant, because what it's doing, he's holding on to market share. He's actually freezing market share in the month of January. No one's going to go to his competitor when they know they've got a free month of tanning in January. But the caveat is it's free for level 1. And serious tanners aren't going to want to stay in a 20-minute bed very long. And it gives your people the opportunity to upsell them. His business in January this year, guys, and he promoted this on radio and in print and on internet, his business in January was up 38% because of his free month of tanning in January. It just worked fantastic. Okay, so those are some of the things you can do. And I guess we're kind of winding down here, and I want to get some questions in. And David, if you're there, if you can get ready to tell us some questions that people have got. But again, a reminder for managers that are on this call, know your salon numbers backward and forwards, formulate a plan to improve them, and report back to your owner or your boss your progress before he or she asks you. And owners, bosses, they all love that kind of initiative. And I'm a big, big advocate of managers. I believe that managers are really the backbone of the tanning industry. So this is just a little shortcut. I keep saying it every time the webinars, but it's really important. Okay, let's talk about the next Sun is Life webinar, Thursday, June 13th, 3 o'clock. Motivation and how to build incentives that work. I gave you the incentives formula today, but we're going to show you more details on specific incentives. And motivation, there's something that's probably no more term that's misused than motivation. A lot of people in this world think that motivation is what they call a kick in the butt, but we're going to show you how it really works. Learn, and then you got to learn that, by the way, all actions or inactions are motivated. Even somebody who doesn't show up for a shift somehow is more motivated to do what they're doing than showing up for your shift. You'll learn the most common and costly demotivational techniques many tanning salon owners and managers use. I have seen many, many of them, had to be to court over them. Hear who the masters of employee motivation were 50 years ago and why their research and results are still the most powerful today. Learn why many well-intentioned incentive programs fall flat on their faces. Want to hear and see the most powerful motivation ever created. There's something I hope that you'll come for. Looking ahead at the future webinars, again, Motivation in 7, June 13th. And I want you to be the employer of choice. And there's a little shameless self-promotion. Is your salon business healthy? We'll analyze your salon business to send us some vital signs, and those vital signs are your per tan average year-to-date versus 2012. Send me your per customer average versus 2012. Just go through the end of May. EFT sold 2012, and then your average EFT monthly draw this year versus last year. That's a very revealing figure to see. And of course, all of it is always confidential. Nothing ever leaves my computer. And guys, it's worth money because I charge, and Alex knows I charge. And but for your consultation, your initial consultation session, it will cost you zip. And you give me those numbers, and I'll give you some idea of how healthy your business is and the kinds of directions you should go. And the Sun is Life training modules. I want to go back and talk about that again. You need certification. For current and new employees, there's the Facebook pages again. And I left on the module, there's another module called Notions About Lotions, because that is something that is part of selling that we need to keep looking at. So in the power group companies, that's us. If you want the package, now it's not listed in here, but you'll be able to get it because my tech wizard will have that, that quick appraisal guide will be in there, and you can download that. We're going to keep adding things to the package, and there's going to be a survey we're going to ask you to fill out. But before we go any farther, let's see if we've got some questions. And David, are you there, Mr. Farr?
I am here, sir, yes, and we actually have a comment from our good friend Tony, who says that...
John, stop talking. No,
okay, no. He says he wants to, he's going to be making a major announcement,
Not a minor one, but a major one.
Yeah, a major one on the Facebook page on June 11th. So the moral of the story is make sure to like that page and watch for the update on June 11th for a major announcement. Other than that, yeah, we do have a few questions here coming in. First question today is from Jeremy. Would you be willing to share your shopper reports?
I would absolutely do that, Jeremy. You know, first of all, let me say something here. This is going to sound like I'm talking like a Boy Scout, but it's not that I'm cavalier about making a living and people paying me for my services. It's not that I'm cavalier about that, but my view I have is that if the people on this call or our constituency, Tony's constituency, mine, IST Magazine's, anybody that's a service or product supplier in this business, if we don't help you folks with sharing best practices, we're out of our friggin' minds, because, you know, the day comes when the average entrepreneur that might be on this call is out of business, and there's only 12 regional or national chains left. I'm too damn old to start something new. I've been doing this for 22 years, so I absolutely would share that with you, Jeremy. Just go on johnrfr.com. I don't know if yeah, right there at the bottom of the screen you can see it. Just go on there, and you can. The mystery shopping form is on there. And by the way, the mystery shopping form, it's kept pretty simplistic. You should change it for things that you're looking for. I'm going to try to. I don't know if I could do it on the next webinar. Might be on the one after that, the one in late June, where I'm going to talk about how to make the Secret Shopper program work, because there are some tricks to it that. And I tell you what, Jeremy, if you want to call me, you know, no charge. I'll tell you how to do it and the kind of person to get involved with it. And, I think my contact numbers are on the website, I believe. So just give me a scream and I'll help you. By the way, I'm a sucker for giving people help. So just give me a call. So what else we got, David?
Kevin's wondering if you can recommend a quality way to obtain a report in Secret Shopper service.
There is a Secret Shopper service we use for a major tanning salon retailer out on the West Coast. Now, Secret Shopper services, if you hire them, call it a professional Secret Shopper service, frankly, you're talking about like $100 a shop. So what we try to do is we try to get someone, in Alex's case, in just about every other case too, we try to get a friend of the family, somebody that the salon employees do not know, that falls within, say, a 25 to 45-year-old age group. I mean, if you send grandma in there, it's going to look kind of strange. What's an 88-year-old woman tanning for? But it's possible, I guess. But I'll personally school that person on how to handle their visits, what to look for, what their expectations should be. So now, if you want to use the secret shopper service, go ahead.
And then the other thing you can do when that person's a friend of yours, you can give them a gift card that you paid for, and then they use that gift card every time they go in, and then when they're done shopping, you can refund that card back so it didn't cost you.
Well, and the best thing about that,
when the person comes in, they have to spend money. So
yeah, and the best thing about that too, Alex, is that they don't get narked out. I mean, no one sees you didn't. The owner didn't go into the computer and put in free tanning for this mystery person.
Exactly.
I mean, this person that walks in's got a gift card. You know, the employees don't know who it is. You know, but I will tell you something, you guys. Jeremy, if you use that secret shopper report, it is dramatic. The effect it has on employees. We did one a few years ago with beaches out in Salt Lake City with 5 salons, and we just pasted the secret shopper reports up on the wall when we had the managers come in, and you couldn't believe the reaction. We didn't even say anything. The owner and I didn't say anything. We were just sitting there chit-chatting and whatever, and one person saw it up on the wall, pinned up on the wall, and she ran over to look at it, and she finally figured it out, and then she said something to everybody else. The next thing you know, you had 5 managers and 4 assistant managers running to the wall, reading each other's reports. And then they knew, the sheriff's back in town. Someone's watching. And it's not you don't want to do it from a negative. We try to catch them doing something right, too. But it made a big difference in the service level. David, what else we got here?
Well, Jeremy, once again, from our first question, is wondering, what is the industry norm for customers gain / customers lost?
The norm for customers gained and customers lost.
As a follow-up, he says we gain 1 tanner and lose 2, i.e., I have 50 new clients and lose 100 each month. Is what Jeremy is saying here.
Well, if you're now, you know what, I'll give an answer. I'll let Alex jump in here too. But if you're losing customers at that ratio, there's something seriously wrong. Now, it may not necessarily. It probably is inside the salon itself. Maybe it's competition. Maybe their marketing is kicking your butt. I don't know. But there's something seriously wrong. If you're losing customers at that ratio to the new ones you're getting, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see some more details. But, Alex, what would you say to that?
Well, it shouldn't. I mean, there's a couple of months during the year where your cancellations are going to be more than your... Yeah. But that's really high. I know the climate that your store is in, it's got a lot to do with cancellations, but the people behind the counter have even more to do with that.
They do. Amen. Yep. Well, David, unless you've got another question, we're running kind of late here, and I know that folks have got their lives and their businesses to run. So, people, I'm going to ask you to, if you would please fill out the questionnaire, the survey that's at the end here, and comments, good or bad. We'd love to hear suggestions on subjects that you'd like, whatever it is. And Alex, do you have any final comment you'd like to share?
Well, I just like to say, if anybody has any questions for me, my email address is in the PowerPoint. I'd also like to say one more thing that, John, that you've helped me with that wasn't touched on at the end there is the offers that you've come up with, which have also helped to turn my business around. Each month you help me come up with something that I probably wouldn't have come up with on my own, which, through email and texting gets more people interested in back into the store. So that's been invaluable also in turning the business around.
Well, thanks, Alex, and I'll tell you who I've got to give the credit to. I've got to give the credit to all my clients because David and I see so many different offers, and David handles, of course, all the email. So, it's not that I'm a creative genius. I'm good at plagiarism. What works for somebody in another market, we share with all of our clients, and that makes a big difference. So, but thank you for your comment. What did we agree on? Do I owe you $50 for that? Isn't that what that was? For that comment?
100.
100. Okay.
You can just send me a gift card.
Okay. I'll send you a gift. I'll send you a gift card for Tropicana tanning.
All right.
All right. Well, people, thank you very, very much. Please fill out the survey, and hey, I hope we see you all on the 13th of June. So we'll be signing off.